Here at Mar-a-Lago tonight you'll take to get the prime rib. It's really good tonight. I had a wonderful relationship with Kim Jong-un. Would you like to hear the letter he wrote me? Molly, give me the Rocket Man file. I mean, please. But look, not all Republicans are idiots. And not to dwell on personal experience, the week that he was indicted, I happened to be in Amarillo, Texas, when all of this kerfluffle happened. You talk about a red part of the country, Potter and Randall counties. I mean, they hunt Democrats with dogs up there. And I was in front of a crowd. Sort of the young leadership of Amarillo, you know, the city fathers do a good job of trying to get the next generation. And sitting in the audience is Congressman Jackson, former White House physician, who is one of the biggest Trumpers around. And so I get the question, isn't this unfair? And I said, no, it's not. I said, I lived in that place for 7 years. He violated the Presidential Records Act. No president is supposed to leave with any scrap of paper except his personal journal or anything he declares to be personal in advance, and the papers with regard to his political activities as a presidential candidate and in support of other candidates. That's all that you're allowed to take. And so we got into this. And, you know, I got a lot of heads nodding. I said, you know, do you really want a president to be able to decide to take secret materials out? And then
did he say, what about Biden? He did.
Well, he can say what about Biden, but the answer on that is he took them. And as soon as they found him, they returned him. That's not what this guy did. This guy knowingly walked out with box after box after box after box after box containing hundreds of classified materials, knew they were there, and doesn't seem to understand.
And showed them to people.
And showed them to people. And also did not seem to understand, in the White House, there is a job called staff secretary. Sounds like a nothing burger, doesn't it? That person sees every piece of paper that goes to the president. Do you know who George W. Bush's staff secretary was? Brett Kavanaugh. This has to be held by a very accomplished person. Underneath the staff secretary is the Office of Records Administration, set up under the Presidential Records Act, which keeps a log of all those pieces of paper that go to the president. In the National Security Council, there's a separate log that keeps a duplicate log of every classified piece of information that goes to the president. So inside the White House, there are 2 logs of every one of those documents. So within a matter of days after he left the White House on January 20th, the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, knew exactly they didn't know exactly. They knew that hundreds of classified documents were missing. And they started asking in no later than May of 2021, and probably as early as March, will you return them? Now, when they said to Biden, you got a classified document, return them, they immediately searched and returned them. So did the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, former Vice President, because he had a couple of classified documents. They did not engage in a 1.5 year long effort to hide the fact that he was holding on to classified documents, and during that process to require people to lie to the U.S. government. In June of 2022, we have the lawyers say we've conducted a, quote, diligent search, and we don't find any materials that are in response to the subpoena, and they know that they're lying. Now, how do they know that they're lying? I bet you a dime to a dollar when they take this to the trial, some of the people who are going to verify that there were classified documents and the president knew them are people who carry a badge and a gun. Members of the Secret Service. They have no statutory responsibility for the maintenance and upkeep of classified documents, but they're sworn federal law enforcement officers, and they have a moral responsibility to report a crime. And I bet you a bunch of them said, you know what? I saw him waving around the Kim Jong-un letters.